Hi, Chef Ryan Phillips here. It's fall in Korea. That means it's Kimjang time, where friends and families and neighbors get together to make tens or even hundreds of cabbages into kimchi to last for the whole next year. Today I'm going to show you how to make just one Korean Napa cabbage into fermented kimchi. Let's get started here. We need to look at this salt first. Okay, this is a coarse, rocky kind of sea salt, and we'll combine that with water. Let's get 300 grams of this coarse salt in here, and I'm gonna save 50 grams for later, all right? And then 2.4 liters of water. Now we need that salt to dissolve before we put our cabbage in here. And our next step is to get this beautiful Napa cabbage here onto our board and cut it into 4 parts. Start about here, all right? And go all the way down and through. Turn it and do the same thing again. Okay, and then we can pull this baby apart. There we go. And each of these into quarters now. Look at that beautiful color. Now let's get these right into our salt water and really make sure, roll it in here, really make sure the water gets in there well. You're gonna have to press these down to get them all to fit. Gonna soften up so much, and we'll go to the next step. So try to find a heavy plate or something to weigh this down a bit, and then wait about 30 minutes and those leaves will really soften up. All right, it's been 30 minutes. So remember the 50 grams that we saved from earlier of our coarse sea salt. Get that ready here. And then you just pull up a leaf and shake some in here. More important to have it down at the base where it's nice and thicker and more white, but the leaves also need a little bit of salt. But concentrate there at that base and just fold a leaf up. Now, once you get to the end, that last big leaf, kind of fold that around to wrap it up, and then push it back down into the salted water. All right, let's weight this down again. And now let's set this at room temperature overnight. I did some last night. They've been sitting at room temperature overnight, getting nice and lovely, salty, soft. All right, we have now created a very healthy environment for fermentation here. Oh, it smells good. You can tell it's already going. All right, let's rinse out some of this salt. All right, we need to rinse these really well. So hold up each leaf and get some good water in there and kind of just go through each of those leaves again, getting as much of that salt out of there as possible. What we need inside the cabbage was absorbed overnight. After you go through all those leaves, squeeze that water out of each one. When you lay it down to drain, be sure and put those big leaves on top so the water can easily drip out of them. We're gonna let this sit while we work on our other ingredients. We're gonna start our kimjang or kimchi sauce. And there's a slurry we can make that'll help speed up fermentation and help kind of stick everything together. So 2 tablespoons of glutinous rice flour and 400 milliliters of water. It only takes about a minute, and this is boiling and it immediately gets pretty thick. You can turn off the heat right away, and we'll set this aside to cool for a little bit later. Let's get our other ingredients together. We're gonna start with this star right here, the Korean radish. I'm gonna take about half of this. Okay. Peel it down. All right, we just want to cut this into a nice julienne. We've got our Korean red chili flakes, 150 grams, right onto our radish. And just look at that color. We've got 3 greens to prep up next. Let's start with some scallions. I've got 6 here. And again, we want the same length as our radishes were. Next ingredient is Korean mustard green. It's got a little bit of a purple hue to it sometimes. We only need about 150 grams of these. And again, we're gonna cut them into that kind of same length and just thin them out a little bit. Our third green is one of my favorites to use in kimchi and in Korean food. This is minari, or water drop parsley as it's sometimes called. It's just so bright. It just seems to be just so full of life. It adds a lot of levity to any recipe. Just brighten things up, kind of like cilantro does for Mexican food. We're gonna use just about 100 grams of this. Again, into the same lengths. Now that our slurry has cooled down here, let's get all of this on top of our sauce here. And now we're gonna add 60 grams of chopped garlic and 1 tablespoon of chopped ginger. Now it's time to get a little funky. Some parts of Korea might use a lot of this next ingredient, other parts just a little, but it is important. This is myeolchi-jeot, or fermented fish sauce. Now, it is strong and it is unusual to many Western palates, but trust me, it adds this depth. You know, this is the same kind of thing that's used to make Worcester sauce, right? Same thing. So don't be so shy, give it a shot. 2 tablespoons going in. The next one, not quite as funky, but there's still some, different sea aroma there because it's fermented shrimp sauce. So let's get about 2 tablespoons of this in as well. There we go, a little bit of the juice, boom. The last 2 ingredients are totally my personal preference. You don't have to do this, but this time of year, oysters come back into season in Korea, and I've got these beauties fresh up from Tongyong this morning. When I first came to Korea, the idea of fermenting oysters scared the heck out of me, but now it's one of my favorite parts. Just 100 grams of these small oysters. My second personal preference ingredient is this right here, the Korean pear. Love these. It's gonna add a natural sweetness in here. Also feeds the fermentation. We're gonna do 150 grams of this julienne, just like some of our other ingredients. All right, just to see how it's coming along. This just takes me back to every year making kimchi. Just going through the steps. It's like a nostalgia thing now. All right, our cabbages have drained for quite a while here. You can see they're not dripping anymore. We're gonna lay one down. lift it up to the back leaf, and we're gonna coat these here. There's this beautiful thing culturally, you know, a community getting together, helping each other harvest, salt, make the kimjang, and do hundreds of these together so that they can survive the next year, you know. I just think that's kind of a beautiful history around here. Well, so after coating the cabbage leaves with the paste, fold in half and place into the container. We're gonna seal up, and we wanna hold it at just above freezing for about 3 months to ferment slowly, and you'll have proper Korean kimchi. So after all that work, it's traditional to have some of what you made that day, which is just fresh kimchi, boiled pork, and a little bit of oyster. I did the work. Now I get to enjoy some of this together. I love these bites. A little bit of suyuk, a little bit of our fresh kimchi, oyster. Ah, there we go. All right. That little sweetness from the pear. Oh, this is beautiful. It takes me back to days when I did a lot more than just one cabbage like we did today.